Hi there, my name is Marcus and I'll be doing my site video on BINBROOK conservation. Through this video, I'll be analyzing some of the key factors that I think are important to the sustainability of this site. The first factor I'm going to analyze really, which I think is the biggest attraction of this site, is the water. Welcome to BINBROOK conservation. This is the BINBROOK Reservoir, which many inhabitants of the community and myself have used their whole lives for recreational activities. The main activity being fishing. About 10 years ago, this site was not as picturesque as you would think. It used to be full of large amounts of blue-green algae and other contaminants from Transport Canada's training facility over 100 kilometers away. When the Conservation Authority found out that there was a declining fish species and the contamination in the reservoir was increasing, they decided to do some tests. After those tests, they realized something had to be done. So as I analyzed in Collection 3, the Conservation Authority took many steps to try to return BINBROOK Reservoir back to its former glory. And from what I've seen, this is true. What once used to be covered in blue-green algae, here, and all along the shore down to the beach, which we'll see next, used to have blue-green algae, which forced the Conservation Authority to close down the water activities. This in turn had a major effect on the conservation as a whole and the community, since this was such a key fishing spot. So as I'll demonstrate here, the fishing has never been better and the water has never been cleaner. As you can see in this glass, there's zero blue-green algae, there's zero contaminants, it's just clear water. Where there once was signs that said no fishing and no swimming have now been replaced with special signs to try to control the amount of fishing as they're trying to protect the species, which I will show you right now. As you can see here, this is one of the Conservation Authority's efforts after the fish species and the water was cleaned up to control the fishing. So they have clear dates as when you can fish and you can't fish, and also handling and what kind of boats are allowed here. The fact that no gasoline boats has been a key factor to maintaining the sustainability of this site. Another key factor which I believe to be important to the sustainability of the site and the recovery which this site endured is the fact that the Conservation Authority realized that their major attraction was the fishing. And as such, once the water was shut down, a lot of people were very upset. Their fishing derbies were closed, their crappie species had decreased drastically, they had much smaller crappie, where once this was a trophy crappie reservoir where many people came to. As such, the Conservation Authority decided to install what are called cribs. Now the cribs are not on any kind of map as to prevent any fishermen from overusing them, but if you ran a fish finder along this pond, which I have my whole life, you begin to find some of these key areas that the cribs are located. Right on this far corner here and this peak here are two cribs that I located about 5 years ago. Now those cribs, once submerged in the water, act as a barrier for small fish to live in. This gives the smaller ones the chance to thrive and grow to a mature size so they can breed and furthermore expand the population. On the other side of this though was the predator species. These cribs acted as a hunting ground for them for any brave fish who left the crib safety. As I mentioned earlier in this video, when the Conservation Authority was making efforts to return the fish species to its former glory and return the water to a swimming condition where people could actually eat the fish and swim in again, they also said, what if this happened again, and what do we do in the meantime, as restoring ecosystems is a very slow and strenuous process. As such, BINBROOK Conservation Authority decided that in order to make sure that people that came here who wanted to enjoy water would be able to have that amenity, but also be safe at the same time. As such, the Conservation Authority installed a splash pad. This splash pad, although mainly for children, served as a place for people to come, parents to sit and enjoy the sun and the picnic while their children ran around in clean city water. Now, although this may seem like a waste of water, much of the water that's used here is drained in here. When they come out of the spouts and stuff, they're drained in various drains and it's actually reused. So these are very efficient splash pads. As you can see here, this is the beach area, which is now open for swimmers, meaning it is safe. Considering it is late summer, early fall, Usually waters, especially in southern Ontario, get a large buildup of blue-green algae due to the fact that there's bacteria in the water and the heat allows the bacteria to really multiply and grow. Having said that, BINBROOK Conservation has come so far that even in the late summer months and early fall months, when blue-green algae would normally be covering large portions of the shoreline, like in areas of Lake Ontario, you see nothing. It's quite picturesque and quite clean. The park includes a beach that we're on right now, and very interesting enough, some awesome water sports which people can come and enjoy. So as you can see in this video, right there is a pull cable tower. So what that tower does is allows people to do water skiing and wakeboarding without the use of any motorized vehicles, further sustaining the natural ecosystem and trying to have a low impact on the environment. As you can see, BINBROOK Conservation is quite beautiful. The landscapes are rolling and there's minimal infrastructure on the site. What this creates is a feeling of wilderness within the city, in my personal belief. But secondary to the natural uses are some other interesting amenities which I believe combine design with the use of the site. Here, where I've shared a lot of family picnics, is a pavilion. So the pavilions are just covered picnic areas to help protect people from the sun and, the occasional rainstorm. And they even offer covering, which is clear, so you can still enjoy the rest of the environment. How I believe this ties into the rest of the course and Swafield's second theory is that it could have been easy to design a pavilion area which is very walled and built up and looks more like a great concrete structure rather than a natural environment. Here you can see a better image and video of the water sports area, which actually includes some ramps where people who are brave enough can do some tricks. The area is so beautiful that it has really attracted a lot of people, just especially for photography and video. As you can even see in this video, we have a drone flying, taking images and videos of the area with the beautiful sunset right there. Now, although there may seem a lot of buildings in this small area, this area is very small in comparison to all of BINBROOK Conservation. As you look across, this land is all part of BINBROOK Conservation, and in order to keep that, the main goal of having a natural ecosystem, the Conservation Authority has always left that natural. It is available to people. You can boat across, walk around, go hiking into the forest, but there's mainly no paths, no built infrastructure, no pavilions. It is just a natural environment. Next, I will try to show the depth of which this reservoir extends to really show the relative size of BINBROOK Conservation. Once again, over there is the water sports area, that very small inlet in comparison to the rest of BINBROOK Conservation. As I walk upon one of the larger docks where a lot of fishing does occur, you can see that BINBROOK Conservation's reservoir extends very far. It goes so deep that even in an electric trolling motorboat, it takes about an hour and a half to completely get across. Furthermore, as we discussed in the beginning about the cribs which are installed to help increase the fish species and really revitalize the ecosystem, you can see in this video 2 cribs which are now been left out because they have not been used yet, and the structure they're made out of. Really what they are is just wood that's all stacked upon each other with small inlets that don't allow large fish to get into but allow the small fish to get into. I believe that this is one of the greatest planning tools that the Conservation Authority employed in these waters, as it is a major reason why that the fish species has bounced back. As you can see here, we have a local fisherman who's caught a couple of the smaller species. You have perch, you have one little small crappie, and some bluegill in there. Now, although quite small, these fish are very abundant in the areas and love to utilize those cribs which I mentioned earlier in this video. Also, something interesting about BINBROOK Conservation, which I've yet to see myself till today, was there's a little bit of a local cat species here, which thrives off the smaller fish. I've tried to call out to this one, but he seems a bit skittish of me today. BINBROOK Conservation is an ecosystem which holds a lot of different species, aside from just the fish. But a major reason why this ecosystem has thrived is due to the water conditions in the fish species. Even in the area, there's been seen a return of hawks, osprey, and even some bald eagles in the summer months. All in all, after completing my walkthrough of BINBROOK Conservation, the same walkthrough that I've done my whole life, it's become clear that the sustainability of this site did not just happen on its own. It was an outcome of very sound planning practices and conservation management. Two features which I believe to be factors within Swafield's 6 theories.